What makes the good life the good life? This podcast is on a mission to find out. So join us as we explore the Heartland's best and most honest voices. Venture to all four corners of York County, because when it comes to quality of life, it's all about keeping it local. Brought to you by the York County Development Corporation, this is 17 County.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and review our podcast, 17 County Podcast. Doing so helps grow the podcast, and so we appreciate all the help from our listeners. All the reviews and the likes, help get us through the Google algorithm and the Spotify algorithm. So we appreciate those support from our listeners. We would also like to take the time to thank our members. Without these great members, we wouldn't be able to do what we do here at YCDC. Members can be seen at on the member directory page at yorkdevco.com. That's yorkdevco.com. So I'd like to thank Cornerstone Bank, MPPD, York State Bank, Collins Aerospace, Ayers & Ayers Construction, Henderson State Bank, and Patina Studios. Thank you all for everything you do and helping support YCDC. And we'll get into the interview. Our guest today was born in western Nebraska and found her way to York County with love. That love blossomed into a family and support of a small business. Kerri has been involved in the jewelry industry since 1980, while she was attending school at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. In 1985, she started designing her own line of jewelry, KVK Jewelry Design. In 2020, she decided to open the Jeweler's Vault to showcase her designs amongst other designers. Please welcome Kerri Votaw Kliewer to the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. First thing we have, a little kind of fun segment, just kind of get people kind of loosened up and kind of talking. So this year, we'll do in a segment called 3 on 3, where we're doing our top 3 versus our bottom 3 in a certain topic. This week's topics is fruits and vegetables. So I'll go first with my top 3 fruits and vegetables. Up first is corn on the cob. Big corn on the cob person, especially as it's starting to warm up here the last few weeks. Corn on the cob is just starting to be on top of my mind, looking around for those different stores. I've always been a big fan of grapes, especially once again as it's warming up. I like to just pop on some grapes, maybe throw them in the freezer for a little bit and then kind of enjoy them. And I've always been a big orange clementine kind of person, just whenever those are in season. So I think we're kind of winding down maybe on clementine season. So
I think so too.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting those very much anymore. So how about you, Kerri? What's the top 3 for you?
Oh boy, well. Right now it's asparagus season, so I've got to say asparagus. I love that. I love to make eggs Benedict from it. We fix it in many different ways. So asparagus is my number 1, then broccoli, and of course I love a good sour grapefruit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Any other certain fruits that you're like any way you have to eat that grapefruit? Like I know some people
sometimes
do some weird tricks.
A little bit of brown sugar on top.
Oh, okay, yeah, nice. And then what's your bottom 3?
Oh gosh, garlic, onions, and probably raspberries. Although I like raspberries, but they get stuck in my teeth.
It's just the mess that comes along with
the raspberries, right?
Mine would be peas, cantaloupe, and broccoli. I'm just your classic picky eater, and I just, I'm one of those people, unfortunately. Yeah. Cantaloupe, I don't know what it is, but whenever I have it with my honeydew and everything, it's always the last thing that gets eaten.
So what you need to do, this is a trick I found out in Austria. You need to wrap it in ham. The cantaloupe and ham, and it's
really
sweet and this, yeah.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Cantaloupe and salty combination, and you'll start loving cantaloupe.
There we go. I'm gonna try that. Perfect. So we'll jump into the interview now. Talk to me a little bit about Wellfleet. Where's that at? I'm sure some people, when they hear that, they go, "Oh, I know exactly where that's at on a map." But
right, very few. Since it's less than 50 population, and we lived about 15 miles from Wellfleet yet. So it's between McCook and North Platte. Very small town. We have a non-paved main street through town, no stoplights, very small, but it's a great community, and the entire community. We're really truly raised by a village there. Neighborhood ladies. They taught. Every neighborhood lady had her certain skill that she had. Some taught us to sew, some were excellent bakers. And so it was truly a combination of many women in our community.
It's fun when you have that, those so many different people that you had in your lives that you can point to that taught you that skill. And it's like, oh, I learned this from, Aunt or Lucy or whoever,
right.
Just help me out.
Exactly.
And so you said you grew up outside of town. Were you on like a farm, or where were you at?
We were on a ranch. We still have the family ranch out there, and it is was homesteaded by my grandfather in 1884, and he came from Illinois with his siblings, and they took out homestead entry claims, and that was the beginning of the ranch. Then, as time went on, my father and mother added to the ranch. We did Angus cattle. We raised Angus purebred cattle, and my father was one of the main forces behind certified Angus beef. That's still going strong today. So our Angus roots run really deep, and we're still involved with the Angus cattle business. Although we have do not have cattle on the ranch, but we're still involved.
And then how many people were out there on the ranch? Was it you and the folks, or who?
My parents and I, and then I had two older sisters, Chris, who sadly passed away in 88, and then my sister Kathy, and she lives in Montana and is still involved in the Angus business too. So we had a great youth growing up there. We worked hard. It was a lot of family time. We spent a lot of time on horseback. When I was in high school, my dad and we averaged about 40 miles a day on a horse. So it was a great life growing up. And actually, with my woolly mammoth that I have, fossilized woolly mammoth jewelry I sell in the store, that was where my love of that came from. Is Archie, the woolly mammoth from the university, was found at the ranch just south of us. So one day my dad said, "Hey honey, let's grab a shovel," and we went out there on the horseback with a shovel, and he had seen something sticking out the bottom of a really steep bank, and we dug, and sure shooting, we believe it's a woolly mammoth rib.
That was really cool. That's quite the experience, to be that close to Archie,
right.
And uncovering all that with his legacy across in Nebraska and at Morrill Hall. That's really cool. Yeah, that's quite the experience. And so what were some other kind of memories that you had out there on the ranch, kind of growing up?
Gosh, well, it was pretty isolated. I mean, if we didn't go to town, which was going 30 miles into North Platte, we could go weeks without seeing anyone except each other. So, of course, we had no internet, very limited television. So we did read a lot, but we really enjoyed just working too. Enjoyed meeting the people, and my folks, really instilled a good work ethic in us.
What are some of those, I guess, traits that you think, maybe were brought out of you even more by, working on a ranch? Was it the accountability or the responsibility or the, what one of those or few of those things do you think kind of you really learned the most out there?
That's a great question. So many things. I think, like you said, accountability, having a great work ethic, to be honest, to treat people fairly. All those have translated into business. One of my favorite stories, though, and I think this goes back to a lot of Nebraska kids. My daughter, she's also in the industry in New York City, and she was doing a really large diamond deal, like probably millions of dollars worth of diamonds on this tray, and she was dealing with this diamond broker, and her shoe strap broke. And so she asked him if she could borrow a paper clip, and she did, and she fixed her shoe and kept on going with the sale. And at the end he said, "Where are you from?" And she said, "I'm from Nebraska." So I think that just kind of is all of us here in Nebraska. We just kind of pitch in and figure it out. And I think that's how the jewelry, how I run the store too. If there's a problem, we try to solve it. And like all of us did out on the ranch in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you really had to learn, if you didn't have the right tool, I mean, what can be the right tool, or
right.
what is the right solution, or
right.
What is a good solution here?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, lots of problem solving skills, out there when things break and you don't necessarily have the best solution, but you just need a solution. What were some other kind of activities out there on the ranch? Were you much like, I don't know, you mentioned horseback riding. I didn't know if you did like any like sport like riding or anything like that.
No, we were very involved in 4-H though. So we did all the 4-H projects you could. I think like by the time I was done, we did over 100 projects, different projects in 4-H. So, but the main one was showing cattle. Mm-hmm. So we're real fortunate too, and we were able to show cattle all over the country, and so we went to shows like in Dallas and Denver every year, Louisville, Kentucky. So that our parents were, we were blessed that they did get us out of just Lincoln County, and we got to travel quite a bit and meet people from all around the country, which continues on because I sell jewelry actually to a lot of my Angus family. That's what we call them, Angus, other people in the Angus industry, still today.
What are some things that people maybe don't realize about the Angus industry, or even showing cattle, that maybe is maybe a misconception, or something that you've always maybe heard or maybe kind of battled over the last few years, but just throughout your life?
Okay. Well, probably one of the funniest things is when I wholesale jewelry to different shows, and the show circuit in the jewelry business, as in showing cattle, is quite small, and you get to know other vendors and other suppliers. And so when the word was out that I was a ranch girl from Nebraska, that it was nonstop questions for me. So I would get funny ones at each show. Like the guys would talk about it, and then they would come up and ask me a funny question. And one is, what part of the cow is the Angus from? And so that was always kind of, so it was pretty good, So I kind of took it as an opportunity to educate them on beef and educate them in the cattle business. And even today, you call and say, "Hi, I'm Kerri from Nebraska." They know immediately who you are, because there's not many of us there that are in the industry.
Definitely, you've definitely made a name for yourself, just with your expertise outside of your expertise.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the diamond and the cattle girl.
Yeah, definitely.
I can remember even when I applied for my first American Express, I put down ranching and jeweler as the two combination of my career. And she called me and she said, "This is the first combination of rancher jeweler we ever got." So.
I need more information, please.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny. My dad always told me if he wasn't a rancher, he would have been a jeweler. So I think that kind of stuck in my mind and also inspired me to go into the business.
So was your mom or dad like an avid collector of jewelry then?
Yes.
That's kind of where you've kind of got the eye from and things like that?
I think so. My dad loved buying my mom beautiful jewelry. And so she has a blue diamond. He just got a beautiful jewelry, and he'd travel to maybe a bull sale in Chicago, and then he'd pick up a piece of jewelry from different places he traveled to. And also from our local jeweler. He was a big one to support the local jeweler in North Platte. And then my mom, so Dad loved the jewelry, but my mom had a great eye for design. And so she always got Vogue and Town and Country. So even though we were 30 miles from town, she always was very lovely and put together well, and had a strand of pearls on, and, went on with her business. And it was good. So I think she inspired the style and the fashion sense of the business, and my dad was the inspiration for the value of the jewelry business.
How did you end up at UNL? Were you going to study? Okay. What were you going to study?
Okay, of course I followed my mom and my two older sisters into the university, and my degree was actually in education and early childhood. So I did teach for 19 years, but I always had the passion and the love for the jewelry business. So when I was at the university, I had gone to Australia with a tour with the students, and there I traded rattlesnake rattles that I killed on the ranch for black opals. And so I came back to Lincoln, and I had designed a sketch for a ring for my sister and one for myself. And the Fred Witt, the jeweler there in Lincoln, hired me to come work for him. So that's kind of was the beginning of my jewelry career then, was with Fred Witt. And so I worked for him all through college and loved the jewelry business. But of course, the logic in me, I was thinking it'd be tough to make a business doing this, and I should be a teacher and something logical. And so, but it was always my passion. The jewelry was always a passion of mine. And so throughout, the years, I did custom design work for friends that were getting married. And then when I had my first child, I was actually pushing a car through Borsheims, him in a baby stroller through Borsheims. And I was stopped by the owner and asked about the jewelry I had on. I told them I had made it. And then he invited me to come in and show him the collection. And then I got into Borsheims, which at the time I didn't know what a big deal it was, but looking back, it was a real big deal. So I was in Borsheims until it changed hands, then Warren Buffett bought it, and then the structure changed. But it was a great experience. And then I also just have met a lot of great people through it. So I started at the university with the Australia trip and the rattlesnakes.
That's really cool. That's quite a journey. So what were you involved with? Was it just pretty much studies, or were you able to get involved with any like academic groups or any sororities, fraternities, any things like that?
I was a member of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority, and I was an Alpha Gamma Rho little sister, and that's actually how I met my husband. He was also an AGR, and so I always thought, gosh, he was a cute guy. And so then he finally asked me out, but it took a while. So I was involved, with those two things. I was also involved in Block and Brattle, which is an agriculture group. Those were probably my three main activities.
And I mean, I having been in a fraternity myself, I know, joining a sorority, I mean, those things keep you busy enough with, all the responsibilities that come with that. And so talk to me a little bit about life after college. So you had met your husband in college. Did you guys get married immediately after college, or how did that kind of work out?
So this is kind of a really funny story. So he asked me out one time in college, and then I already had a date, so he didn't ask me out again. So I thought, oh, for Pete's sake. So I was with a girlfriend, and we were talking about all the guys we dated in college and all the guys we wish we had dated. And I had said, I wish I would have dated Steve Kliewer in college. And so she gave me a pep talk and said, I would call him. So I thought, oh. So I got up the courage and I called him up and asked him out. So he said yes. And then that was kind of it. But we had, because at that time I was ranching again. So I was 200 miles west of York County, and he was farming. And so we were kind of
long distance.
Right. So the whole romance back then, of course, before cell phones, it was all just by dial up phone, and we just called and talked a lot. And that was kind of so our romance was through the phone, and then we got married about a year after our first date.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So we had about 12 dates, actually, in person.
One a
month.
One a month. Yeah. That's cool. So how did you decide on setting up into Henderson? I'm guessing it's because of his farming.
At that time he was farming. So we moved to Henderson, and that's where my husband's from, and it was a great community, and I enjoyed raising our three children there.
What were your first impressions of Henderson?
Populated. Because actually I'm coming from
six times larger than your town.
Yes, exactly. And I could see any of my neighbors. So that took a while, a bit for me to get used to. That I could actually look out and see a neighbor.
Oh my goodness, neighbors.
Yeah, neighbors. So that was funny. So that was kind of my first impression. There was really a lot of people here. Nice community to move into.
No, that's great. That's great. And so, so tell me, about your family. Raising family there.
Okay. Yeah. So Chase is he lives in Omaha. He's engaged, and he and his fiance just bought a home there. Got to see him this past weekend, and he's doing really well. And our son Garrett, he was in New York in the film and TV industry, and then during COVID, that was one of the blessings of COVID, he decided to kind of regroup, and he moved back to Henderson and is working for the local cabinet maker. And it's been great having him back and in his viewpoints on things, and he's real creative, so it's great to have his eye and his ideas. And then our daughter Mariah, she followed kind of in my first steps and went to university for 1 year, and then she transferred to FIT in New York City and has been there since then, and is in the jewelry business there in New York.
What's FIT?
Fashion Institute of Technology.
See, I was wondering if it was that simple of a guess. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and she's doing really well. So she's had a great go in her career. She actually, when she was still in schools, in college, she sourced the products that were on the cover of Vogue, on Michelle Obama. She's having a stellar career now in New York. And she does production for a famous designer now there in New York. But it's great having her there on 47th Street because she's kind of my eyes and ears.
What's going on in
the world? What's going on?
Yeah.
This is the latest, Mom. And, have you seen this new cut of diamond? And so
helps you stay on the trends and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's getting a 27-year-old viewpoint on the industry and what's coming. And so it's fantastic. I enjoy having her in the business and being able to bounce ideas off of Mariah.
So what were some of the benefits you think of, getting to raise your, kids into Henderson as opposed to maybe, having to raise your kids in New York City? Had you actually stayed in New York City, or, what kind of things did you kind of enjoy of, getting to raise your kids in such tight-knit type community, kind of like what you kind of were used to?
Right. So, the children, they loved how being raised in a small town. They always joke that if they do end up raising their children in a large city, they'll send them home to my husband and I to have them decastle all summer and teach them how to work. And so I think that was probably kind of it. They learned community. They have a sense of community. They have one of my favorite stories is we would go to trade shows. They would be helping me with the company I work for in Austria, and we would do a trade show in New York, and all the other jewelers would just be amazed because my kids would be working and helping me, and they say, "How do you get your kids to work so hard?" And my children would laugh and say, "This is our vacation. Usually we're in 100-degree cornfields detasseling. So to be in an air-conditioned Java Center in New York City is like totally a vacation." So it's all of that. And I would tell the kids too, no matter where you are in life, chances are physically you're probably not having to work quite this hard, So it was all it was a great journey for them. And I think they do appreciate that they were raised in a small town.
Most certainly, yeah. I mean, working out in the field sometimes isn't the most mentally sweating thing, but it is physically exhausting.
Exactly.
But I imagine, sitting, working on gemstones isn't probably the most physically demanding, but it's probably mentally taxing on that side as well. So yeah,
exactly.
You take it where you can. Yeah,
that's right.
Mm-hmm. And so starting a business, what was that kind of like? Were you raising a family when you decided to, do the whole KVK or jewelry design? Talk to me about, how that kind of started and kind of how you kind of ended up, with the Jewelers Vault today.
Yeah. Like I said, I started in college and working for Fred Witt, and then from there, when I had my first son, then I started making my own pieces, and that's when I got into Borsheims. And
this is on the side while you're also teaching.
I
was
also teaching this
whole
time.
So you're doing two things, yeah.
Two things,
yeah. Three things. Your mom, you were working, you were doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Farming,
Yeah, lots of things. Raising cattle on the side, we were busy. Being on the school board, lots of fun things going on during that time. But anyway, so I have just been so fortunate, and then I got into a lot of the clients in Lincoln and Omaha clients, and they heard about me and they wanted custom work done, so they reached out, and so I have families in Omaha that I'm 29 years, so I'm on the third generation of making their family jewelry.
Wow.
And they have me go there, and I, present stones to them, and it's a interesting world to step into. So that has continued on. I've been very fortunate, and I'm, like this coming week, I'll be going to a wedding in Hilton Head, and I did all the jewelry for that, which is beautiful custom South Sea pearl earrings, 35 carats each, that'll dangle off diamond hoops. And then I did all the wedding party jewelry and all the mother of the bride and the jewelry. So it's an adventure, and it has really been a good business for me, and I'm very lucky. So from the KVK, the Jewelers Vault, so I've done KVK for years, and I just built it. And I think working in the middle of nowhere, you had to really be creative and to be able to market it and to think outside the box. And so that's kind of, once the website was developed, then that was really a game changer for me too. So it was not just word of mouth then.
Because you kind of had a storefront, right?
Not really, no. Just off my kitchen table.
Okay.
My storefront.
Okay.
So I would have engagement rings. I always said it was the
living room setup.
Yeah, the lawn sidewalk up to my front door, and these young guys getting their engagement rings, and have a slow walk of the final walk before the engagement ring.
They're a green mile.
Oh, that's funny. We should have painted sidewalk green. Yeah, the green mile. But anyway, the jewelry store has been, or the jewelry journey has been a good one for myself and my family. And so from the KVK jewelry design, and then I did a lot of the jewelry for for people in business leaders here in York and in the area. So when the opportunity came up to possibly open a store, they reached out to me, and I thought, well, that sounds like a great idea. So we were back and forth on that. And then I decided it was just a good time to open a storefront. And it's, my children are raised, and it's just a great time in my life. And so I thought, COVID, by golly, that's not going to stop us. Let's just go ahead and do this. And it's been a great opening. And I think during COVID then too, the store, I was able to get some great buys on diamonds that I've been able to pass on to the consumer. I also am able to carry some really high designer lines that maybe on a normal year, the opening amount would have been so high I could not have done that. But I have designers here in our store in York, Nebraska, from Italy, German designers. We have them from Hong Kong. We have an Israeli line called Artemer that's done fabulously well. We've sold over 50% of those pieces already. We have, of course, Takori from California. We have a lot of designers that we have their pieces here that, again, in a normal year, it may not have happened that way. So there's always a blessing to every cloud, I guess. So that was kind of the blessing on this journey.
Yeah, the thunderstorm that was COVID, turned
Right.
it out actually, blooming some really good stuff for you.
Exactly. It really has done well. And I think it's been a kind of move back to shopping local. So the people aren't, going into Omaha now into your bigger stores. They're thinking, oh, we can get it here.
I can get the same thing, or just as good, or even better.
Even better.
What do I mean? Even better. Yeah.
Absolutely, even better. Because we can get diamonds in overnight from New York. So whatever size of diamond you need, maybe a 1/2 carat to 8 carats. I've sold them all here at the Jeweler's Vault. So we can get any size diamond in you need. We can design the mounting, or we can get a pre-made gorgeous mounting for you. So yeah, the big boys, they don't have anything over on us, especially with a daughter on 47th Street, because we're getting the good deals. I mean, they're coming through here at the Jeweler's Vault.
That's awesome. No, that's great. That's great. And so what led you to opening up the Jeweler's Vault? Like, was there a moment where you were like, I'm tired of, sending my stuff to these people and, being the middle person, or, what was, the driving force to say, I want to be selling my stuff instead of, maybe sending it somewhere and someone else selling it, or you selling it over the phone, or,
That's a great question. There's probably a lot of things. So I used to sell a lot on Gem Shopping Network. I would do strands by the hundreds, and I would make those in my basement in Henderson, and they would sell. And I always wondered, I wonder where those end up. And now and then I would catch them on TV, on like a newscast person or something. I'd say, oh, there's my piece. And I wondered, how did that necklace I made in my basement in Henderson get to that newscast person in New York or LA? And so it's really, it's great to see who gets my end product here in the store. So I love that part of it.
I bet it feels great, being able to have that hands-on of, I've made this, now I'm giving it to you, and now you get to wear it, and you get to show it off. And instead of that kind of missing link of where you bought, you sold it to someone, and then, like you said, you don't know how it got to that person.
Exactly. And
you know the story when you're selling it here.
It's so some of the necklaces I make, and a lot of my rings, though, they're made by a top manufacturer now in New York, and they hand fabricate everything. So they're at the point of, on these platinum mountings I do, they are so intricate and so gorgeous. So the people that I use in New York do the absolute top designers in the world, and they're making them also their. So I was one of their first clients with this manufacturing firm years ago, and so they have really loved to see how the business has blossomed too on a lot of my custom work. So again, on the custom design, I have a client come in and we sit down and we meet and we figure out what their vision is, what their lifestyle is, what their budget is, and we come up with the ideal design for them.
So you just kind of outlined talk to me a little bit more further through the process of, say I'm someone coming in here and I want to buy an engagement ring, or I want to buy a ring, or whatever. What's the kind of what does that process look like? Because I'm sure a lot of people may get intimidated and they may not come in, or they may hold off from doing some of this stuff. So
there's a lot of avenues we can do if you would come in for a piece of jewelry, like let's say an engagement ring. So we can do either one that we have already made up, and they come in and out the store, and it's quick and easy, and that probably accounts for probably at least 50% of our sales, especially our engagement rings. Sometimes they might have seen it online on my website, or they like this certain style and they see it and we're real price competitive, so then they buy. So that's one way of doing the business. Another one is they might have an idea, or they have seen a mounting they like that's called a semi-mount. So we have a lot of mountings in the showcase that the center diamond is not included. So it would just be the beautiful gold or platinum mounting. And so then the customer can say, okay, I have a $5,000 budget, and we see the mounting is $1,500. So now we know we have $3,500 to work with for the diamond. And so we can get in we have quite a few diamonds here at the Jewelers Vault, but we can also get in diamond straight from New York to fit whatever budget that you would like and price range. Then the third option we have is all custom. And this process takes about 3 weeks. And then we would hand pick the diamond, or you may have a family heirloom diamond, and that would be fine too. And we were happy to work with the stones you have. And so we would begin on a setting. So if you have some ideas of what you like, or like if in an engagement rings, a lot of times we get on the bride-to-be's Pinterest page, because they have a lot of ideas they love. And believe me, you might not think, oh, my gal's been writing them down. Believe me, if you're getting close to that process, they have a Pinterest page probably going about it. So we like to take a peek on that. Now, I have a advice for all you girls with the Pinterest page. Put what size a ring you wear on there, because that is really a problem. They come in and we have no idea what size.
Is it 4? Is it 6?
Exactly, And so that would be a big help if we do a size, and then you could truly get surprised by that engagement ring. But it's a fun process. I love the custom work. I could do it all the time. It's fun. And before I opened the store, for years, I would work till 2 or 3 in the morning and not have a clue it's that late, because I loved it so much. I would just be working. And I guess that's when you know you have your passion.
Most definitely, yeah. When you find yourself, 3 a.m. still plugging along like it's 3 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
You know you found yourself, something great. KVK Jewelry Designs, like what can people expect, or like what are some products that are like unique to KVK? What are some things that people can come to expect when they purchase a KVK, or they are looking to purchase something that you've designed?
So my signature pieces, I have a couple. One is the lawn spinel, black spinel mixed with gemstones that I sold on Gem Shopping Network. I still have those here. And some of my clients, they'll get 7 or 8, and they just layer them, and it's a fantastic look, and it goes with dressy or casual. Also the woolly mammoth jewelry that I've designed, that's sold internationally either through our store now, the Jewelers Vault, or my old KVK website, but mainly through the Jewelers Vault. And so those pieces, if you're looking, it's not a huge market, but boy, if you're looking for something unique with woolly mammoth ivory, I'm the ticket in town to have. And also I do dinosaur bone jewelry, which is unique too. I mix it with gold and diamonds, and it's a beautiful look. And you think it's just brown, but it's not. It absorbs all these different minerals throughout the hundreds of thousands of years. And same with woolly mammoth. It has gorgeous color to it. It has some blues and of course creams and grays, and it's just beautiful to see. It's very organic feeling. So those are probably my 3 really unique things. So if you Google me, that would probably come up, just because there's not many of us that work with that material. But I do sell like diamond rings. I've sold some recently. I sold a ring to California, and he had found, which always amazes me when they find me so far away for a diamond ring, because you think of there's thousands of us jewelers out there selling diamond rings, but he was looking for a turquoise and diamond band, and I had done one for a ranch girl here in Nebraska, and he had it on my website, and amazingly somehow he found me. And he was Native American, and he wanted that Arizona turquoise combination with diamond, and that was a beautiful ring that went out. So I guess my specialty on that is that we can create it how you want it. We can use the material you want. We can. Another signature thing I do is a square shank. It's called a European square shank, and so it keeps the rain from turning on your hand, which is a big issue, especially with larger diamonds. They have a tendency to turn a lot, or larger stones on top. If they're top heavy, they turn. So that helps make the rain very balanced, and so that's another, I think, signature thing I do. I also think about like earrings, the weight. Being a woman, you don't want a heavy earring. It drags the face down. So, I keep who's wearing this in mind and their lifestyle in mind. If it's a hardworking Nebraska girl, those rings have to be built tough, and they are. You can see on my website, I have a great photo of a gal vaccinating cattle with all my rings on. There's cool. Like 4 hands in the picture. They're blinged out with diamond rings from the jeweler's vault. So it's so funny too. So when I talk to my fabricators there in New York, I say, these rings have to be built tough for us Nebraska women because we don't take our rings off. And they go, oh yeah. Well, then I sent them the picture. It was up and down 47th Street. They could not believe that our women work like this in Nebraska. I think yes. And so now my rings are built extra tough.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've got the built tough rings.
Yeah,
definitely.
we do.
So you were mentioning a little bit about your rings. Where has like the furthest that you've been to kind of deliver a ring, or how far have you gone to deliver a ring? Because I grew up here in New York, and I was lucky enough to be friends with the previous gentleman who owned the jewelry store here in town, Taylor's. Shout out Taylor's. They were a great family, and so I always got to hear some stories about him traveling and going places to do some deliveries. Kind of what's been the furthest you've gone for a delivery, or how far have you gone for, a client?
Well, I guess I've done jewelry in Austria, and I happened to go there, so I did deliver it to Austria. Not that would be on my regular route or anything, but so yeah, that's a good question. I have clients all over, so. I guess North Carolina now coming up in Hilton Head, or South Carolina. Sorry, that's in South Carolina. I'll be delivering rain. I'm also doing one to Savannah, Georgia this coming month. So, we have some long distance deliveries. A lot though is delivered by FedEx. I just drop it in the mail, and FedEx does my work for me, or UPS. But it's a great business, and you do get to travel a lot in it.
Definitely. We'll kind of jump into our rapid fire questions here to kind of help round out the interview here. First things first is we're kind of stay positive here on the podcast, and so the pandemic was kind of rough for everyone, but there were some positive parts. And so, what was kind of a positive part for you for the pandemic? What was something that maybe you experienced that was kind of positive?
I think personally, our son moving back from New York City was hands down the most positive thing, and then opening the store. And again, there's really great benefits to or can be to hard times, and our sales were 20% higher than I had projected for the first 3 months, and it's just been really strong. So I think that the positive part is being able to offer some of the designers that we didn't have I couldn't probably normally get. Also some great buys on diamonds, so that's been positive. I haven't really seen a negative yet on my business, except now with India being closed, that it has affected some of the gemstone line channels coming through.
The logistics stuff.
Yeah, logistics, but not very bad.
Nothing too directly.
No. Yeah. Although during the height of the pandemic, it was difficult to get a diamond in, and it was difficult to get. New York was closed, so that did impact the business some. So
I was gonna say all your logistics in New York were
the
toast.
Logistics. I kind of forget that. That's the thing, Derek. When I have a negative, I kind of put it out of my head. So
that's good.
I'm a little bit of a Pollyanna in life. So I kind of forgot about those months.
I forgot that I couldn't get anything from New York for a couple months.
Yes, and LA. Oh my goodness. San Francisco actually is where I get a lot of my really beautiful gold chains, and they're all made in Italy, and they're shipped
over that way.
A family there in California, and. Yeah, I could not get my gold chains. I could not. Thanks for reminding me of all this. Oh my gosh, it was kind of stressful couple months there.
I bet.
But we all made it through, and people were very understanding, and I had it enough to get me by, but it did impact us some. But people were understanding that New York's closed now. Give give me a couple weeks and we'll get it done for you.
We all got so used to that next day everything that it was kind of nice, that it's going to be a week. It's going to be a couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like how it used to be.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit. That's not just going to be there the next day. So what's kind of, if you have a day off, what's kind of your favorite way to spend that day off? What are you doing to spend those 24 hours? If you can do whatever you want.
So if it's not lunch with family or friends, which would be my first choice, just visiting a glass of iced tea and just chatting away, then probably my second thing is a good movie. And I like any genre, just if it's a good one. Maybe an old Turner classic or a new one. It's just a good movie.
What was the last good movie you saw? Put you on the spot.
Right, that really puts me on the spot. I can't even think. Gosh, we watch movies like every night. I don't know.
So you've seen a lot of you have seen a lot of good movies.
Yeah, we see movies. Yeah, we're big movie buffs.
What's a favorite restaurant in York County? Maybe a place that you're always taking family, or a place that you regularly visit. What's kind of your favorite place?
Hands down, it would be Chances Are. We have so many family memories there. Maybe Mother's Day or birthday celebrations. It's a favorite. Yeah, we love Chances Are.
Were you there then this past weekend?
We were not.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, we had Mother's Day actually. We met our son in Omaha for Mother's Day. We met in Lincoln, but actually, my husband and I usually have a date night every Friday night at Chances Are. So we love our Chances Are.
Heck yeah. What's a favorite meal that you have? Either something from Chances Are, or maybe like a home cooked meal. What's something that you're always looking for?
Probably prime rib. Rare prime rib is probably my favorite meal.
And that probably started out on the ranch. We
Right.
probably had quite a few of those. Yeah, growing up on the ranch.
We did. Boy, if we had chicken or pork, we thought we were lucky. Yeah.
What's a favorite memory that you have here in York County? Been here a while. It could be, a series of memories, or what's a handful of or a few memories that kind of stick out in your mind as something that is kind of favorite moments that you have.
I think probably the York County Fair, when our 3 children were showing cattle and were involved in 4-H. That was a great memories, because we sit around in the barn in the evening with friends and family, and just just really enjoy that time. So I think probably York County Fair is a great memory for York County.
If you could spend 10 days in any part of the world, where would you be spending those 10 days? I know you're kind of a travel buff, so yeah, where would you go back to, or would you go somewhere new?
Boy, that's difficult. I really love Austria, so I would probably go to Austria again, maybe spend more time in. There's so many places. We were in Poland 2 years ago, and that was lovely, and Germany, and that was a great place to see. I think our son and his fiance may be getting married in Japan in 2022, so that's going to be a fun trip that's coming up. So I would say 10 days, I'd take it anywhere. I love to travel.
Yeah, I would. What about Austria? Kind of interests you? I'm very interested in that. Yeah.
So Austria, so the company I work for, they had me come over, and I stayed with the family, and we went into the very remote parts of Austria where no one spoke English, and so that was fun. The cathedrals there were beautiful, especially in the smaller villages. You wouldn't expect in them, and then there would be this beautiful cathedral, and it was just, and the artwork, just so much about Austria I loved. But I also enjoyed Hong Kong. I mean, that was an interesting trip too. Poland was great. Australia, New Zealand. I like to go back to New Zealand again. So yeah, I just go anywhere.
It'd be great to spend more than just 48, 72 hours in some of these places, and get to spend
and I've never traveled that it's been 72 hours, or I think probably 5 days is the least I've ever spent.
Oh, that's great that you got to spend quite a bit of time in some of these places.
So it was never whatever those old jokes are, 30 countries in 10 days or whatever. No, it was, we spent time in each, well,
that's good. And then what's kind of a favorite county or local event that you're always looking forward to, whether it's maybe York Fest or Henderson Community Days, or what's kind of a reoccurring activity. You mentioned the fair. I don't know if that's something maybe not. Don't look forward to it still every year, but what's something that you look forward to?
I think for local event, it would probably be the Henderson Smorgasbord or high school puts on, or band.
I just learned about this not too long ago. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah, so a shout out to our Henderson Smorgasbord. It's a great event, and that's usually every March. And also Henderson Community Days. That's a great time, and a lot of the alumni come back, so you see, especially your children's friends that have moved away, and they're back into the community. So that's a fun time too.
That smorgasbord, that's traditional, like German and Austrian food.
Mennonite.
Traditional Mennonite food.
Yeah. So
cool.
we have Veronica and apple prushka and all that great food that I do not make, being a Western Nebraskan girl, but we sure enjoy it.
Definitely. So this next segment here is called What's Making Us Happy. It's just kind of a fun segment just to talk about the good that's going on in our lives. I'll go first. I just got back from Vegas. I got to spend 4 days out in the desert. It was great to kind of get away from. It wasn't super cold, but it was nice to get away from the cooler weather and just kind of get out there and kind of relax. I had a schedule that I had to keep, so I didn't get to go and see too many fun things, but I did get to kind of walk around and enjoy the sights, go to the Hoover Dam, check out the Memorial Bridge that's right there as well. So I had a good time with that. So what about you? What's currently making you happy?
Gosh, well, seeing my sons for Mother's Day was really nice, and next Saturday, in 5 days now, we leave for Savannah, Georgia, and we'll meet our daughter there. They're going to drive down from New York, her and her boyfriend, and then we'll meet his family, which we've not met yet. So that's exciting.
Big step.
Yeah, it's a big step. So that'll be a great time, and we have an Airbnb rented, and we're just going to take our time and go antique shopping and just enjoy, 5 or 6 days in Savannah. And then at the end of the trip, then we'll go on to Hilton Head to the wedding, which will be fun. And that's a 3-day wedding. It's going to be a big event wedding.
That'll be a big time.
So that'll be fun too. And it's fun to attend. And I think all my kids will probably go more the elope or destination wedding. So it's, which is fine with me too. But it's good. And so that's a fun thing going on in my life currently. And, I just had a couple leave here from the Jeweler's Vault, and we're doing a custom ring for their 50th wedding anniversary, which is a great fun.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And so, it never grows old. I've had some couples in last week, actually 2 couples that were a second marriage, and, they found love again after death. And it was just it's a wonderful thing. I love the business because it always makes people happy.
All the stories that you've probably heard and got to be a part of, and be a part of that magical moment in their lives and everything like that. That's really cool.
Exactly.
How many stories you get like that. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate the last almost hour now that we've been sitting here. So I'll let you close out the show with whatever you want. Any final words of wisdom, a quote, a sales pitch, kind of however you want to close out the show. I'll let you do it. So it's all yours, Kerri.
You should have prepped her for that one. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon here at the Jeweler's Vault with me. Stop on by. We're in downtown York, and we are happy to make all your jewelry dreams come true.
Thank you, Kerri.
This is 17 County, brought to you by the York County Development Corporation in Nebraska. For more information about life and opportunity in the Heartland, visit yorkdevco.com. Come grow with us. And if you liked this episode, be sure to rate and review 17 County on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.